Thank you all very much. Good morning, everybody. Isn't it a great day in the neighborhood? You know, I get to go to a lot of events, but very few, perhaps none, is more exciting than this. I see some people out here. I see Stan Jackson nodding his head. Mary Cuthbert, Mr. Bunn, all folks who've been working in the vineyards for some time to be able to make this day happen. Commissioner Muhammad, and I shouldn't have started calling names because I'm going to miss somebody. But that's okay. I don't mind, I don't mind being effusive today because this is such a great day. Again, I want to say good morning to everybody and welcome to this bi-weekly press briefing. It is great to see so many people, not only just the numbers of people, but the folks that are here today to be a part of this. Philip, good to see you here, sir. How are you today? I know this means a lot to you as well. It was really just last October that many of you were here for the unveiling of the design for the St. Elizabeth's East Gateway Pavilion, which we are launching the construction of today. This actually, as I indicated, kicks off the construction that will help us achieve the economic development goals in terms of providing jobs, services, as well as amenities for the nearby residents and others who will come into this historic place, which has been here now since around 1850 or 1860. Anybody here today who was here at the original opening of St. Elizabeth's in 1850? No. I think back, seriously, I think back to just about 22 months ago when we were down at Savoy, when we had the economic development session down there with folks from Ward A. We had 600 people who came out that day. If anybody had any questions about the interest and the interest in and commitment to economic development on the east end of the city, it certainly was established that day. And one of the things we talked about is what we were going to be able to do with this campus, and it's really delightful to see where we are. I think we've got a great choice in Cad Con Davis, Brody Bond, and Robert Silman Associates, which is the design and construction team. They have major portfolios that include internationally renowned landmarks such as the September 11th Memorial and Museum in New York, the reconstruction of the Eastern Market, and of course what will be the iconic Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture, which is under construction and will be finished in 2015 down on the mall. They're working hand in hand with our Office of the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, which of course is under the leadership of our outstanding Deputy Mayor, Victor Hoskins. Also our Department of General Services, and I think we'll be joined before too long by Brian Hanlon, and of course working with the federal employees who will be arriving in just a few months. They will be arriving at the end of August, right, Victor? August 31st, across the street. Just about a week ago, a little over a week ago, maybe 10 days ago now, Victor and I were in, Stan was there too, we were in Las Vegas. I don't know why they have that event in Las Vegas, because all you do is work the whole time that you are there. It would have been a lot better if we just, were in some outpost. But there are meetings every half hour. We had 80 meetings that were conducted there, and a number of the folks who are here today participated in those meetings, as well as others, of course. It was amazing, the retail chains that expressed an interest in being here, especially on the east end of the District of Columbia. I think the day is over, ladies and gentlemen, where we have to, on bended knee, beg folks to have an interest in the District of Columbia, and especially this area of the city. This campus, this side of the campus especially, offers an unparalleled opportunity to restore a historic gem. And the Gateway Pavilion is just the beginning of all that will be accomplished here. Whoever had the foresight to put a metro station over here really was a visionary. I don't know how many years ago that was, but it was really visionary because that metro station is going to become a major source of transportation to bring people to this campus. Of course, across the street, and I see our warrior on the Hill is here with us today. I was with her yesterday as we worked to try to make sure we keep riders off of the district's budget this year. Rather than trying to get them off, right, Congresswoman, we're trying to keep them off in the first place at this stage. But she also has been a champion in helping to bring the Coast Guard to the other side of the campus. 3,700 employees will be coming to this campus. And by the way, just in case you know, the cafeteria over there will accommodate only 300 people. And before you decry that reality, that is by design. Why is it by design? Because if those 300 people eat over there, that means there's 3,400 people who come off the campus to be a part of what's going on in this dynamic community over here. So it would have been fine with me if there were no eating facilities over there so that we could bring them into our community over here. I think you know from the very beginning this has been a centerpiece of our vision to revive Wards 7 and 8 on the east end of the city. It's also a huge part of our economic development plan for the District of Columbia. Inherent in this is job creation. By the way, the One City, One Hire program has now eclipsed over 900 employer partners working with us, and we now have gotten jobs for 6,075 people in the District of Columbia. And if you all would like to see the data, we'd be happy to share it. And I think you will realize that the majority of those jobs have gone to people who live in wards 5, 7, and 8, where unemployment has been most pronounced here in the District of Columbia. We have come from 11.2% unemployment to our last data. We're at 8.5% unemployment, and hopefully we will continue to go down. Just some of the things that will be brought here by the development on St. Elizabeth's East. Again, it will bring next generation job training to our neighborhoods here. It will become a center for exploring new opportunities in infrastructure development, intelligence, energy, and of course green practices, which is a huge part of what we are doing. It will be a marketplace of ideas, innovation, and commercialization. Connect especially our academic community with what's going on here, with the innovation centers that we have planned, working with SmartBIM, working with Sidlam, and I think we're working with Microsoft also. They haven't missed a meeting yet, so and they've been sending their top people, so we hope, we think that they're on board. We also think it will become a national model for public-private partnerships as well. Again, the Coast Guard will be a major catalyst for development here on the east end of the city. You're going to hear from Commissioner Mary Cuthbert shortly, but she's one of those who always has her ear to the ground, and I think she has told us on numerous occasions how excited people are about the renaissance that's taking place on Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. And what we expect, what we hope, what we expect is that there'll be new grocery stores, restaurants, affordable housing, and I want to thank the council for approving the budget that we submitted. It has $100 million in it, Councilmember Barry and Councilmember Bonds, to be able to really provide a catalyst for affordable housing here in the city, and especially on the east end of the city, so that we can make sure people who want to be in the city have an opportunity to be here. I want to note also that as we travel along this landmark avenue, that we recognize that private partnerships have to come along for the ride and play a role in helping to make these efforts successful. For example, by focusing on education, security, energy, and sustainability, we've been able to have meaningful conversations with numerous companies and institutions who want to be a part of St. Elizabeth's, and some of those I mentioned already, like Microsoft, Sidlam, and SmartBIM. Technology is a huge centerpiece of our efforts to recruit economic development opportunities for this side of the city. A huge part of our economic development strategy. And we're also in the midst now of recruiting, and I think we're moving along, right, Victor, an academic partner to be here. When we had the event over here, as you will recall, Stan, we had 19 universities that came. One from as far away as Singapore, which is not exactly a short hop, skip, and a jump down the street. They came to be a part of that effort. We have our solicitation process underway. We're awaiting responses to that. And there will be more good news about St. Elizabeth's in the months ahead. This is the focal point of millions of dollars in public and private investment. We have put in just in the last year $4.5 million to stabilize these historic buildings. The people who've asked me what's going to happen to these buildings are not going anywhere. These buildings are historic, but they will be restored with a historic quality to them to be able to be used for 21st century purposes, even though they were constructed, most of them, in the 19th century. We also have made a commitment, I think many people know that, we are investing $113.5 million in infrastructure dollars in order to be able to ready this campus for its purposes for the 21st century. And those investments will go on through 2016. We've been joined by a number of people who I know are excited about this, just like I am. And I'm going to ask them if they will come up and speak. First, we'll be hear from our Congresswoman, who is now in her 12th term in the Congress of the United States. I tell her all the time that she is the biggest impediment to us getting a vote in the Congress. The reason is she's too effective without a vote. They're not going to give her a vote.
No, Mayor Gray, you know it's more evil than that. But we're going to get it anyway. We're going to get it anyway. Mayor Gray and Deputy Mayor Hoskins and Council Member Barry and Council Member Bonds and Commissioner Cuthbert. I must say, I've seen some good ideas in my life, but I've never seen a better idea than this. I really applaud you, Mayor Gray and Deputy Mayor Hoskins, for this extraordinary innovation not seen before in our city, I must say, because instead of waiting for a new East Campus and a new West Campus, what you're doing is heralding the coming of the transformation with a interim transformation of your own. I just love that. For the community is going to get to preview what a transformation looks like with the flexibility that you're going to have in this pavilion. So there'll be various kinds of retail and dining, and the community can say, well, we like that one. I mean, all these things will be temporary. We like that one. We try out this one. We didn't like that one. So in essence, you have a focus group virtually here with this pavilion, which allows various kinds of retail and food vendors and all to come and to go. This is just what has been missing on Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. What you're seeing is the beginning of Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue as a real destination, first and foremost for the community. Mayor Gray and Deputy Mayor Hoskins, I especially appreciate that you're striving to get the pavilion up in time for the coming of the first 4,000 federal employees to have to cross the Anacostia in order to go to work. The Coast Guard employees will be first. They'll be all alone. Next to come will be the Secretary herself and her headquarters staff. Now, the Coast Guard employees will be looking for some place to go because it's going to be pretty lonely up there on that campus because they're going to be the only thing there. The mayor talked about a cafeteria that will hold 300 people. You bet your life. This building will not have the usual amenities of federal buildings. And I have worked very hard to make sure that it did not. If you want to come to Ward 8, come and talk to Ward 8, see what's in Ward 8. Remember, there was method in my madness. Obviously, I was looking for a place for the Department of Homeland Security. But I was also looking for a way to jumpstart the new Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, because I knew that the history of the city is that when federal employees come to any neighborhood, amenities always follow. It's a very smart idea to give the community and to give the employees a virtual taste of what is to come. Mr. Mayor, it will also pick up on construction. We are not doing as much construction on the west side now because we're about to open, pardon me, we're about to open the Coast Guard, and the next to come will be the reuse of that main building that will start up. But we want to once again get people employed in construction at St. Elizabeth's. We had to do it the hard way because the federal government does not allow any preference for the place where a facility is being built. And so we had to do it through outreach and through on-site monitoring, unannounced, and the rest. But we're very pleased that with the Coast Guard site, although the district is only 10% of the region, it averaged between 22 and 25% of the employees there. Now, D.C. is going to do much better because D.C. is not constrained by the federal rules in hiring and can hire its own people because that's who lives here. I want to give you an update on the money. We have $9,800,000 for the East Campus. We've had it, I think, for the last 2 years, but there's been a CR. So we've not been able to get it out. But the president continues to put money in his budget. We have gotten his commitment that the Department of Homeland Security, all of the buildings will be built. There's almost $400 million in the budget this year. The mayor talked about what a good idea it was to have a subway so close. Yeah, and guess what? The employees are going to have to cross this campus right where we are in order to get to work. So we've got it all figured out, but what we didn't have figured out is what the mayor and what the city has now figured out, and that is not to wait so that people see what looks like a barren piece of land here as they walk to get to work, but to give them some notion of what is to come, and above all, to give the community finally the kind of amenities they have been looking for generations. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman Norton, and for your representation of our great city on Capitol Hill. You know, you're going to hear a lot more about when Victor comes to the microphone about pop-ups. That's become a concept that really gives people an opportunity to do what Congresswoman Norton was talking about, and that is to try it out and see if it works for you. Pop-ups are a concept that will bring a lot of companies here at virtually no cost to themselves. They can be here for months. They won't even. I think the whopping sum of $1 is what we're charging some of these firms to come here because we want them to come. We want them to be a part of this. Now, that dollar will stop at a point. You know, if you want to continue to be here after a certain point, you got to pay up, okay? And we'll know when the time comes. We can tell when you start to get comfortable over here. In any event, I want to recognize the gentleman who represents this ward, who has been with us. He was with us when we were here for the academic gathering, the gathering of 19 academic institutions to talk about coming here. Boy, what a great day that was also, to see 19 universities wanting to locate in Ward 8 of the District of Columbia. Wasn't that fantastic? Please join me in welcoming. Sound like you're introducing a boxer. 4-time mayor, 3-time council member. Of course, join me in welcoming Council Member Marion Barry.
Good morning, D.C. Good morning, Ward 8. Come on, do better than that now. Good morning, Ward 8. This is another good day in Ward 8. When I came in office in 2005, Ward 8 had a very negative reputation. They had welfare mothers and drug dealers and etc. But what somebody forgot to say, that we have some outstanding citizens in Ward 8. We have some outstanding students who go to school in Ward 8. We have a lot of other outstanding things, so we begin to transform just the physical look of Ward 8. How many of you all have been on Ward 8 before? that crowd back there hadn't been here. So. But seriously, Ward 8 physically does not look the same as it was when we came in, Vince, as you very well know. We've done over 10,000 houses. We've done a whole range of other kind of things. We renovated schools. And incidentally, since we're talking about schools, the mayor and I worked awfully hard to get $125 million for a new Ballou Senior High School. A new. And it will open in August of next year, prepared to receive all these students who want to come. But let me give you a little history about St. Elizabeth Hospital. It's over 100 years old. But when I was mayor, I think it was 84 or 85, one of those years, Senator Eagleton from Missouri was chair of our Appropriations Committee. And he called me down one day and said, Mr. Mayor, would you like to have both sides of St. Elizabeth? I said, let me think about it, Senator. After thinking about it a little while, for about a week or so, after I did a lot of research, I said, well, Senator, you can keep, the federal government can keep the west side, because it requires over $300 million to try to get rid of all that asbestos and other things. And I'm glad that I made that decision. If we had not made that decision, we wouldn't have Homeland Security coming over. And we took the east side. And I'd like to just thank Senator Eagleton. That was a bold move on his part, Ellen, as you very well know. Let's give him a round of applause. And he's not here, but so he can know. Come on, do better than that now. A lot of exciting things are happening. The first thing you notice, if you come across the 11th Street Bridge, a whole $300 million new bridge. New bridge, Mary. You can't get to Ward 8 except across some bridge to get here. You can come across Sousa Bridge. You can come across Douglas Bridge and 11th Street Bridge. Incidentally, I'm getting ready to put in legislation that will rename the 11th Street Bridge the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Bridge. Come on now. The other thing we're going to do, Vince, we and I have talked about this, about making Martin Luther King from Good Hope Road up here a grand boulevard. A grand boulevard. With that stuff across the street over there going, on the other side going, so we can have a great look at what we are as a people. Now, in terms of St. Elizabeth, I've been intimately involved with this in terms of trying to plan it, etc. But it's part of a larger scheme. It's not just St. Elizabeth by itself. Even though it's going to be very, very important. We're going to have new housing over here, retail over here, restaurants over here, and going to have the academic campuses over here. And so this is just a great day that didn't just start today. And down the street, we got a new Turner Elementary School, $26 million. We got Henson Ridge. How many of you have been on Alabama Avenue recently? Anybody been on it? I knew you have, Sam. But what about this crowd over here? And you have don't you notice the difference in how it looks? Do you? Do you? All right. And that's just part of it. We got Wheeler Creek down the street. We got a new Baloo coming on. We got housing. We got Matthews Memorial Terrace down the street. And I say this in the context that I don't want you, and the mayor doesn't want you, to see all this in isolation. It's interconnected to something else. So that when we come to Ward 8, I hope you buy a home here in Ward 8, or rent here in Ward 8. You're not coming to just a Ward 8. You're coming to a community. People who care about each other, and people who do all they can to uplift each other. And so, Mr. Mayor, let me just thank you for your leadership in general, but certainly you've made East of the River a high priority, and we're delivering on it. Aren't we? Aren't we, Mary? Let's give the mayor a great, great round of applause. The mayor and I have known each other, we forgot how long, over 30-some years. We worked very hard to close down Forest Haven. Yeah, that's another institution down there. Had 1,000 people languishing, out of sight, out of mind. And so he and I worked together. It was hell getting group homes in these neighborhoods. I started with my own neighborhood. I lived on Sudan Road, and my neighbors went bonkers. They put notes on my back gate. They threatened to picket. They threatened to do everything. But we did it. If you try to get those 4 people out of there now, you have to fight. You have to fight. And that's the kind of thing that the mayor and I did. It was rough. 10 years. First state in the nation to close it down. And I've talked a little bit longer than I expected to, but, when you got a lot to say, you ain't got a lot to say. It takes time to say it. You can't. I remember sometime we were at some meeting on the Hill, and one congressman said, everything has been said, but everybody hasn't said it. So, Vince, thank you so much. All right, Ward 8. All right, Ward 8. All right, D.C. All right, Eleanor, our warrior on the Hill. Come on. Come on, this is a day. And God worked with us by providing this good sunshine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. We can't have any tripping out here now. Not that kind of tripping anyway. Huh? Oh, okay. Well, I was just trying to make sure you didn't trip over the wire. No harm meant. Trust me. We're also joined by our at-large council member who was on the phone for a minute ago. I think she was calling up everybody to let them know the good news on the east end of the District of Columbia. Please join me in welcoming Council Member Anita Bonds.
So that I don't be tripping.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. This is such a great opportunity for the District of Columbia, for all of us who are assembled, and as the speakers before me have made it very clear, this is history making for the District of Columbia. A new approach to making it clear that not only are we here, but we're here ready to do business and to make a difference in the broader community. I congratulate those who worked on the project, and particularly our mayor, of course, always, and our congresswoman, who really and truly had her finger in the pie and made sure that the meringue really works on this lemon pie. And thank you very, very much, because I think our community is greatly going to benefit from this. And of course, to Mayor for Life, Marion Barry, Ward 8 Councilman, who really has had a long-standing vision for this community, and to many others. So I'm really here this morning to say that those of us who live on and in other communities in the District of Columbia are equally excited about what happens on this side of the river. And I know that the mayor's been calling this part of the city, I think, the East End now. Okay, well, East End, you're looking terrific, and we're better off as a total community because of it. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Bonds and Councilmember Barry. You know, one of the elected officials who has been steadfast in her resolve and her commitment to the east end of the city, to Ward 8 in particular, is somebody who, I'm not sure how long she's been an ANC commissioner, but a long time, and she has really been able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. She has stayed the course and done a fabulous job of representing the people. I'm going to say people across Ward 8, because she doesn't just confine herself to a single member district or her commission. Please join me in welcoming Commissioner Mary Cuthbert.
Good morning, Mayor Gray, Councilmember Barry, Councilmember Bond, Congresswoman Norton, and Deputy Mayor Hoskin. This has been a long time coming. We started on the East Campus of St. Elizabeth in 2000, and we met every week. Finally, we're going to begin to develop this land. Mayor Gray, your commitment, your dedication, we are excited. And I'm excited about the amenities, because my steps are getting shorter, and I'm tired of spending my money in Virginia. I can walk a couple of blocks and spend my money right here in my own community. It's been so I'm looking forward, we are looking forward to the development, and now I can begin to think about retiring as an ANC commissioner. 29 years I've been a commissioner for this community, but it's been a wonderful journey. And I want to thank you all for coming out today, and please attend all the meetings once we get our development. We're going to get a tech school across the street, high school. We're getting a new balloon, so our children will be ready for the technology on the East Campus of St. Elizabeth. So I'm looking for the competition, the excitement of what's coming here now. Thank you.
And I think we all know that Mary Cuthbert will never retire. And I hope she doesn't, because she has been such a catalyst to get people to do the right thing. She doesn't mince any words, and that's a good thing, Mary. So thank you for 29 years, right? 29 years. That's a long time, and thank you for all the service you provided to this city. I won't just say the Ward 8, but to this city. The gentleman who I've enjoyed working with on this and so many other projects. He and I didn't even know each other before, I guess, February of 2011. And that was when he came in to talk to me about the job as deputy mayor for, I guess, January. Well, sometime, 2011, early 2011. Anyway, he's done a fantastic job of working with people, helping us to take a vision and translate it into reality. And this is yet another example of that. Please welcome Deputy Mayor Victor Hoskins.
Good morning, everyone. I have to begin by thanking the mayor for his tremendous vision of one city. You know, the first time I heard the phrase, you know, in your mind you have an idea of what it is, but then when you talk to the man, you really realize it is his view that everybody should have the same opportunity, that this is a great city and there's enough greatness here to share with all the wards. And he's made sure that we have stayed with that vision, and that's why we're here today. And I just want to thank the mayor for his vision. I also want to thank Congresswoman Norton for keeping us on point. There's no one like her that can keep clarity in your mind about what you need to do next. She's done a tremendous job of leading the city for all these years and representing us in Congress. And I just feel privileged. And the first time I met her, she didn't realize what an admirer of her my wife and I were. And I took her to the side and I spoke to her a few minutes about how we have watched her from afar. I mean, when we were in Southern California, we used to watch her on C-SPAN. And she's tough, and she's righteous, and she stands for this city, and it is so greatly appreciated. And I want to thank you so much for your contribution to the city and allowing me to be part of it. I'm up here really to express appreciation to Councilman Berry for his tremendous leadership on the East End. Councilman Berry, I think I was on the job maybe 15 hours, called me down to his office, and he said, "I want to talk to you." And I said, "Yes, sir. I'm more than happy to talk to you." And he sat down, and he actually gave me some tremendously valuable counsel, and I will always appreciate that. And I also want to thank you for being such a great partner in working in your ward. And I need to thank the people who really gotten this job done. Jeff Miller from my team, who's my director of real estate. Catherine Buell right here, who is the director of the project and has done an amazing job. And Shiv, and I'm not going to say his last name because I don't want to mispronounce it. Shiv, where are you? Raise your hand, sir. Shiv, where are you? Right there, right over there, doing all the hard work. Shiv is tireless. We're driving in, and Shiv goes, "Victor, we need a bike share here. We need to put bikes at the metro station and a bike down by the pavilion. That way they can ride back and forth to the gate." I was like, great idea. Where's that D-Dot guy? I mean, he is on it all the time because he believes in what we're doing, and I really deeply appreciate that. And I need to thank Director Hanlon and Alan Liu for making sure that this project will deliver on August 31st. Thank you so much, Director Hanlon and your team. I can't say enough about our Department of Homeland Security partners. Carol Mitten, actually the Secretary Napolitano, they both have been tremendously involved in this process and really have made all the difference. You've recognized Mary Cuthbert, but I also want to recognize Mr. Bunn for making sure that we stay focused, that there's a main street right across the street, and we need to integrate all of this work together. So thank you so much, Mr. Bunn. And I'm going to end with a little discussion about these pop-ups. The mayor mentioned pop-ups. When we were in Las Vegas, we met with about 80 companies, scheduled interviews, and then there were probably 200, 250 impromptu interviews. And in almost every one of them sessions, in every one of those sessions, we talked about pop-ups. And some people here know what pop-up retail is. It's a way that a retailer can go in and test the market. So we are giving them the deal of a century. And everybody who hears this, if you're able to show us a strong balance sheet and an ability to deliver a product to our community, we will lease to you $1 a month for 6 months, a site right down the street near the train station. We want you to test this market, and we want to make it inexpensive for you. We will provide the water. We will provide the other services. We will provide internet, but we will also make sure that your facility is secure, because we want you to test this community, and we want to remove all the barriers that we can in order to do that. And I'm going to end with a couple of acknowledgments. We have Faraz Kamseya, who was working diligently on this project early on, and Ethan Warsh back there with his nice glasses, riding his motorcycle. But they really helped us move this ball forward. And as we start talking about bringing in women's apparel and soft goods and hardware to this location, so that the community can actually get the amenities that it has missed, that it drives 15, 20 miles to get to, we are going to transform this community. And I want to thank you on behalf of the administration. I want to thank you on behalf of my department for your patience. It has not been easy, but it has been good. And as they say, nothing good is easy. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Deputy Mayor Hoskins. One of the people who has been incredibly important in our efforts to get things done, in October of 2011, right, we stood up a new agency, the Department of General Services, that brought together a number of disconnected, in many ways, units across the government. MPD was doing its own construction, Recreation was, Fire was. We had a couple of other agencies that were merged, all brought together to create the new Department of General Services. And the person that we asked to take on that awesome responsibility and has done an absolutely sterling job was Brian Hanlon. Brian, come on up. We want to hear from you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is an exciting day for me personally, and I want to start with some words of thanks. First, thank you for our mayor, who it is for me an honor of a lifetime to serve. I came to government several years ago and frankly didn't know what it was going to be like. I love working for this man who I think leads with tremendous courage and vision and fosters a collaborative working environment. And you know, he picked I think a great city administrator, Alan Liu, who fosters that same environment. So it makes my job more fun because I get to work with other directors and deputy mayors and great people like Victor Hoskins over here, who said nothing good is easy, but you make it look easy. So that's a good thing. And then on Victor's team, of course, there is Catherine Buell. Wanted to thank her for her leadership on this, and Jeffrey Miller. And of course, as we go down the row here, Councilmember Barry. I grew up in the West End. Spent a lot of time over here on the East End, and more and more time, it seems, with Berry Farms and this project and Ballou High School, which has got a big, deep hole over there right now, and very excited to see that. We were targeting that building to be minimum LEED Gold, and it's going to be one of the most, I think, the most beautiful high school in the city, flagship of the city, and I thank you for your, in the nation, yes, in the nation. Councilmember Bonds and Congresswoman Norton, I'm a neighbor of yours. I don't know if you know that. If you happen to see me, I'm not stalking you. I'm probably walking my dog. I spend a lot of time on the phone with Mr. Bunn here, who's also a great advocate for Ward 8, and I want to thank you, Commissioner Cuthbert, as well, who I think I see you. Well, in fact, I do see you more than I do see my own commissioner in Ward 6. So thank you for your leadership. On our team at DGS, we've got, I want to thank Michelle Chin and June Locker, who've been instrumental. June Locker is a deputy for construction at DGS, and they have been instrumental in moving this project forward. Just briefly, the mayor mentioned what we do. We design, build, maintain, secure district real estate. But what I want to talk about real briefly is why we do it. We have an opportunity to touch 30 million square feet of district real estate in schools, parks, municipal buildings. We have an opportunity to make those the greenest, most environmentally sustainable buildings that we have. We've got the Consolidated Forensics Laboratory just actually went from LEED Gold to LEED Platinum. Don't know if anybody heard that, but that's just a real prize. 200 I Street is one of our new buildings. That's LEED Platinum. We designed these buildings to make the best use of water, resources, and energy. But one of the things that we do across the span of our program that's really instrumental and at the core of what we do is about economic sustainability. It's about job creation. 52%, nearly 52% of our capital dollars are spent on certified business enterprises that are located here in the District of Columbia. 26% of those dollars have gone to African American-owned firms, and we have tracked our hours worked in the last 2 years. The number of hours worked on all district projects is 44%. We track that through looking at payroll records and scouring it and making sure that they're legitimate and that we're doing the right thing. So we are doing everything we can to promote job creation and capacity growth for small and locally owned contractors, and we'll continue to do that on this project. At least 10% of the capital dollars spent on this project we're going to target to go towards Ward 8 subcontractors. And about almost 90% of the dollars spent on any project are at the subcontractor level. And that's where a lot of our effort goes, to make sure that those dollars land in the right places. They land in the hands of businesses that are owned and operated in the District of Columbia. And, of course, we want to see job growth and expansion here in Ward 8 as well. So thank you very much for that opportunity.
Our next speaker, and I guess final speaker, is someone whose name you've heard mentioned several times. Catherine has had so much involvement in this city, and we were delighted that she agreed to take on the responsibility of being the executive director of St. Elizabeth's East. I don't even know we had a title like that before, but it was fitting for this purpose, and that is to be able to lead the effort to make sure that we achieve the vision, the goals, and the promises that were set forth. Please join me in welcoming Catherine Buell.
Thank you. Well, we are so excited to have everybody here. Today is a great day for St. Elizabeth's, and I promise to be brief. We don't do this alone, so I just want to acknowledge some of our team members. First, I want to start with Arnetta Tyus, who eloquently handles our community relations. We could not do this without her. We've already acknowledged our DGS team. We also have representatives here from DDOT and DSLBD and the Office of Planning. We also have DHS represented, who we work with regularly to make sure that our efforts are coordinated. But I also want to acknowledge our board members. Herb Miller is the chair of our advisory board, and he is one of our strongest advocates. Stan Jackson, I saw Adrian Todman, and Thurgood Marshall III is here. We really appreciate all of the advocates we have here. This summer we will be going out and we will be soliciting vendors to come and make the Gateway Pavilion an active space. We will also be looking for pop-up retailers. We want St. Elizabeth's to be one of the most exciting places to be in the District of Columbia. We know that we can do this with your work, and we thank you sincerely for being here today. Thank you.
All right, we're going to ask everybody if they will convene over here where the shovels and the dirt and the box is, so that we can do the ceremonial groundbreaking. All right, we'll take questions initially from the media on this project. And then once we're done with that, we will take questions on anything else. James? Those who are outside the tent, can we ask you to either quiet your conversations or take them elsewhere or come back and join us?
Mr. Mayor, Brian Hammond already touched on this, but could you talk about the role that CBEs will play in the development of the whole St. Elizabeth project?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Victor to come up and join me, but CBEs will play an instrumental role. It's one of the reasons why we have worked so hard on the CBE legislation. As many of you know, we had an advisory group that's been working with us. They are now finished their work. I can't even count the hours that they put in. I don't know. They had 6 or 7 meetings that lasted up to 4 hours, so you can just from that determine how much work they've done. But we think we're going to have a piece of legislation that will really advance the purposes of the CBE program in the city. The overriding goal, James, is to be able to make sure the CBEs have every opportunity possible to be able to participate in the business of the District of Columbia, and especially here on the east end of the city. There was mention earlier about the number of CBEs, and Brian, I guess, mentioned it, the percentage of business that would be available to CBEs, the efforts that are ongoing to be able to make that happen. So I guess as a general comment, there will be an absolutely full-out effort, especially to make sure that the legislation, the statute is in place to be able to open those doors, and so that there are no loopholes that people can kind of walk around or avoid in some way or the other. Victor, you and Brian want to add anything to that? Okay.
Well, I think the mayor really touched on the most important point, which is there's some new proposed legislation coming forward. Of course, we're going to work with the existing legislation, but the new legislation is going to set a new course. We've had quite a few, tremendously committed CBE firms involved in this process, and they want to make sure that we get our fair share. The nice thing about contracts from the District of Columbia, we have more control over those. So we make sure that that we're going to make sure that our local companies are involved. I'm going to let Brian Hanlon and Catherine talk about the details on the current selection of architects, engineers, and contractors, because I think that's also germane.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, on all of our capital projects, we cannot tell general contractors who to hire, but what we do is, like last year, we had 4 outreach events with CBE firms. We're doing the same thing this year, and it's kind of like Match.com. We get them to talk to each other. We encourage that type of communication, and I think our track record, frankly, speaks for itself. We legislatively are required to spend at least 35% of our capital dollars on CBE firms, and we are actually north of 51% across the span of our program. So I think it is a successful program. We keep pushing the envelope. Councilmember Berry mentioned Turner Elementary School that we opened last year. We were at 62% on that project. I expect that we'll be well north of 50% at Ballou, well north of 50% at Berry Farms, and I think certainly on this project. So we have a pretty expansive database of certified business enterprises, and it's broken down by we know who the owners are, we know where they live, we know how big their company is, we know what ward they're in, and we actually track that data so we can have an understanding of who's getting what. And then we just basically create the opportunity for the contractors to meet and to generate a relationship.
About the campus itself, is 100% of the historic buildings, are they all going to be salvageable and used? I understand that the condition of many of these parts of the campus are...
Well, I may ask the Deputy Mayor to speak to that because he's more actively involved in the planning program, but most of these buildings are historic, and I think there are several that... Yeah, I mean, the historic buildings stay, and there's a couple of buildings that I think are slightly newer in the portfolio. Do you want to speak to that, or Catherine Buell will speak to that?
So we have a master plan that was approved last summer in 2012. 900,000 square feet of the historic structures will stay. Any of the historic structures that are to be demolished were approved in that master plan. And there are some, but they are essentially duplicate structures, but there are no plans to demolish them at this time.
They will be used, retrofitted.
That's correct. We're looking at moving our technology companies into our historic structures. So for our initial anchor tenants, we are focusing them on the historic buildings and then building around from there.
Is there any structure that will stay that won't be used?
There are no current plans to have structures stay that aren't going to be used in the redevelopment.
I think if you look at the master plan too, Mike, you will see that not only are these historic structures remaining, but there will be other new structures that will be built as time wears on. And this campus will be fully built out for a whole host of new purposes, obviously, than what they were used for historically.
Mayor, there's some concern that when Homeland Security develops more of the West Campus, it will seal itself off and not really be part of this neighborhood. That there will be an entrance and exit off at 295, and people will come from the suburbs into their campus and then go home at night and not really be part of this. What assurances do you have from the federal government that you can integrate these two campuses in the way that you're talking about?
I think we'll do the best that we can, Tom. I think one of the dramatic examples of that, frankly, was the issue with the eating facilities. That is that there are 3,700 people who will locate in the Coast Guard building, but there will be eating facilities only for 300. The message to me is very dramatic, very clear, and that is we're not going to create an enclave over on the west side. We're going to create opportunities to bring people off of that campus, and to relate to their community. Can we?
Excuse me, sir. It's not going to be a Bowling Air Force Base.
No, and I think Bowling Air Force Base is trying to do something different itself. I was over there recently for an AARP meeting, and the commandant, I guess is what he's called, made a point several times to say we want to be more integrated with the community over here in Ward 8. So I think what you're seeing now is an effort to try to move in another direction. Can we absolutely ironclad guarantee that that's going to happen? No, but I think the culture that we're trying to create is one of an integrated community between the two sides of the campus and the rest of this community. Mike?
Just sort of piggybacking on Tom's question, can you talk about the practicalities of getting the workers that are at the Coast Guard over here? Because, you know, it seems like it's almost a half mile even. You know, there's a stone wall, there's an iron fence, there's a construction site in the way. I mean, how are we going to get all those people over here? And are you confident that they're going to come all this way for a hour lunch break?
They'll be able to jump tall buildings, do it with the speed of a bullet. Let me ask Catherine to talk about that, because that is an issue that we focused on.
Yes. So if you take a short walk to the other side of the line, you'll notice that there's an existing connection between the east and west campuses. And we're planning on maintaining the 1902 version of that, not the full connection, but the pedestrian bridge. We've also been closely coordinating with DHS and GSA. We meet with them on a biweekly basis to make sure that what we're doing here on the East Campus complements what they're doing on the West Campus. We've been talking about ensuring that there is a shuttle to circulate the Coast Guard employees from the other side of the West Campus up to the pedestrian bridge so that we can make it as easy as possible for them to patronize not only the businesses here on the East Campus, but the businesses in Ward 8 and Congress Heights and Anacostia generally.
Is in terms of as the crow flies, what the walk would be if you were to walk out of the Coast Guard building to get here?
It's about an 8-minute walk. Because the Coast Guard employees receive a 30-minute lunch break, we're looking to shorten that walk by using the shuttles. And we've also been told that they have a 90-minute workout lunch, and so we'll have programs here on the East Campus that complement their needs and their lunch schedules.
Don't forget either, Mike, that a lot of people will access the campus from the metro. And they will be coming on the metro, getting off the metro station over here at Congress Heights, and then they will walk through this part of the campus. So they will become increasingly familiar with this side of the campus as they come to work. You know, Victor was just reminding me too, which we should have mentioned, and that is, Sidlam is building its North American headquarters on this campus. So there will be lots of interesting things going on over here that we think will attract people's attention as well. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Tell us who you with.
I'm Tindani Pulabuse here. I chair Councilmember Burry's Ward 8 Arts and Culture Committee.
Wait a minute. Are you with the media?
Yeah.
What media? Not your camera.
EasternRiverArts.com. All right,
let me see your media credentials.
All right, my media credentials that I'm a Ward 8 resident.
If you have a question, we'll be happy to answer it.
No, please don't. No, don't play with me like that. All right,
don't play you like that. We always hold on a minute. Hold on just a minute. We operate by the same rules at every one of these, okay? And we'll be
sir, okay?
Excuse me?
Community grassroots media. I'm a Ward 8 resident, EasternRiverArts.com.
I don't doubt that at all, okay? Don't play me like that either, okay? All I'm saying is that we use the same rules at every one of these events, and that is we'll be happy to answer the questions afterwards. What media outlet are you with?
EasternRiverArts.com, sir. I'm asking about the advisory committee meeting.
Is that true, Mr. Barry?
Can I just get this question off? It's short and sweet. It's short and sweet to the point. There was some advisory committee meetings happening with Ward 8 residents who are grassroots, and they were asked about businesses that they wanted to incubate. What connection will you maintain with the community to help grassroots members incubate business or further develop businesses that exist right here in this community, working with grassroots?
We have worked with that continuously. Catherine has done it. Victor has done it. I've done it. We've been to innumerable meetings, including forums and summits that we've had over here. We want this to be successful. Anybody that doesn't participate, it won't be because they won't have the opportunity.
Are there any businesses, grassroots, that have been identified that you're working with right now?
There's lots of businesses. We'd be happy to give you the list.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the media? Tom?
Mr. Mayor, do you have any comment on what Dana Milbank wrote in the Washington Post this morning, essentially that we don't deserve voting rights because of all our troubles? I wonder if you'd be going down to visit him.
Well, I think we know how ludicrous that is. It reminds me of what Congressman Micah said, and that is that something to the effect that juveniles would like an increase in their allowance as well. I think that we have demonstrated quite amply, quite ably, that we are responsible people in the District of Columbia, and the city is on the move. So that's really all I have to say, Tom. Any other questions? Mike?
Mr. Mayor, there's been this issue with the sinkhole, which I know you're aware of. It's 2 weeks. It's going to be almost 2 weeks before it gets fixed, $2 million. The one thing that struck me is that there was, in the middle of this downtown intersection, there was a hole in the pavement for, I think, a week before anyone said, oh, there's a sinkhole and we have to fix it and dig up the entire street. Are you concerned that that was like sitting there for a week? I mean, have you gotten any sort of answers on what's going on there? I mean, that seems like a pretty significant public safety issue.
I don't have all the details, Mike. If you want more, that's why we had the press briefing yesterday. Were you at the press briefing yesterday? Okay. We had a press briefing yesterday in which information was provided. I'm going to ask Deputy Mayor Quander if he can come up. He was the one who was actually providing information yesterday. But yes, we are moving. I think maybe by the end of this week, this will be completed. The other thing that a lot of people perhaps don't know is that during this period, we were able to resurface areas of 14th Street and the adjacent streets as well to get some work done that we otherwise would not have gotten done. It was an opportunity that presented itself in the middle of this difficult situation.
As you know, we've been working around the clock since last Tuesday to correct the issue with the hole. The hole developed as a result of water runoff that was diverted. It didn't go through the normal path because of some construction that was done many years ago. There was a water main that was placed that blocked it. So there was no way of knowing that there was a problem. So when they did their regular test of the roadway, nothing showed up because it appeared to be solid, but in fact water was eroding the earth beneath the pavement. So once the hole was discovered, and then once they lifted the plate above it, they saw how much the ground had eroded, and that's when they started putting in some special equipment to actually see, because they couldn't have visual, they couldn't see what was down there, what was causing the problem. So once they started getting in, started excavating some of the dirt and other things, going through some of the older piping there. As you know, some of that sewer system goes back to the late 1800s. They discovered the major problem there, and that's what they've been trying to fix.
There was a period of several days where there was a visible hole in the pavement with cones around it, but traffic hadn't been diverted around it.
No, that's when the plate was initially pulled back by DDOT when they noticed that there was a hole there. They pulled the plate back, and that's when we started setting up the perimeter because we wanted to make sure that it was safe. Then we started doing the work. I'm unaware of that hole being there for several days before work began. It's my understanding that once the hole was discovered, once that plate was lifted, that's when the crew saw the issue and started working on it.
Further questions?
Mayor, there's a hearing happening right now about possibly changing the date of next year's primary. As somebody who may or may not be in this thing next year, do you have any thoughts on when the primary should be?
I actually think when it should be. I actually think changing it is a good idea. I think it will give more people an opportunity to participate. We saw, the turnout, I think, was markedly affected by the one time that it's been done in April. This started with I guess a federal law that said we didn't have enough time between a September primary, to get to a general and have people who were away from the city, especially our military, be able to participate in the general election. And one discussion led to another, and before you knew it, it was all the way back to April. I think that's one. It doesn't give enough time coming out of the winter season for people to really get connected to an election, of the importance that we have in the city. And then secondly, to be able to give everybody an opportunity to know, to hear, to meet people. It'll just provide, I think, a better opportunity for participation in the city. One of the reasons for this too was to try to be able to be more relevant when it comes to the national primary, to put our primary closer to that. We don't even have a national primary next year because we will be in the middle, of national elections. We won't have a presidential election next year, so that's irrelevant. It has no significance at all. So I support it. I think it should be done.
June? You support June?
June is what's been discussed. I haven't had a detailed discussion with folks, but I'd be open to even discussing other dates that might give, again, people more of an opportunity to participate because they will have gotten connected to candidates.
Are you suggesting there should be one an earlier date in a presidential year, but a later date in a mayoral year?
No, I'm not making that statement at all, Mike. What I'm making is a statement about why it was done. And the fact that we know next year it doesn't really have any significance given what was discussed around how it got to April in the first place. I wouldn't be averse to such a discussion. I'm not promoting that idea. But frankly, for the purpose that it was done initially, a couple of years ago, it has no relevance for next year.
Does it affect your decision making?
Pardon?
Does it affect your decision making as to when you'll pull the trigger?
Nope.
Gives you more time.
That would be true.
Can you give us an update on your thought process about the potential run?
I'm thinking about it.
You haven't changed from 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, nothing's changed.
Well, you asked me about my thought process, and I just, corroborated. I'm thinking about it.
Thinking about what?
Thinking about the thought process. You all know you're not going to get an answer out of here today.
Are there top couple of factors that would discourage you from running?
I will make a decision when I'm ready to make a decision, Mike. I'm not going to get into a detailed discussion of that today. I've had people come at me in all kinds of ways to discuss this, and it's like, don't you love this job? Answer is yes. But that wasn't you, Bruce. That wasn't you that did that.
Does your family support you running again?
I'm sorry?
Does your family support you running again for mayor?
I haven't even talked to them about that. I will when I get to that stage. As you know, I just lost a member of my family, somebody who was very important in my life. I had only one sibling, and that was my brother. My brother passed away. His funeral was this past Saturday, and he would have been somebody I probably would have talked to about this, but I won't have that opportunity now, obviously. All right. Media. Yeah. And I appreciate you for cooperating, okay? If you have a question, though, Commissioner Muhammad, I'll be happy to answer it after this is over with. Thank you all very much, unless somebody has another question.